The funny thing about life and who we decide to deal with and what kind of people we decide to deal with, and also the outcome of the relationships that we form. It makes you wonder why so many people, there's all of this chaos in relationships and in marriages. And it's like me personally getting a divorce and you're blaming everything on your partner, and your main focus is them. If they hadn't have done what they did in a relationship, why don't they stop doing what they're doing? And we have to understand that the reality is not them, it's us. And we have to recognize that and we have to recognize that and make a change on it. Hey, welcome to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. I'm Gerald Tabb, call me G. If you like what you hear, follow, subscribe, and leave a comment on something you may want to talk about, or something you would like my opinion on. So, I'm divorced, and I went through a lot of relationships. I'm human. Went through a lot of relationships, and most were very chaotic. I was probably a horrible person because I was unhealed. I was arrogant, all kinds of stuff. But that's I would guess you would call it emotional maturity. So I get a divorce, and I'm blaming my wife for everything. And then I don't know what happened, but I stopped and I said, well, hang on. I'm blaming her for all of this stuff, but I'm not realizing I can't do anything about her. She has to change her. I can't change her. But what I can do is I can change myself. I can change how I react to certain things. I can change my internal emotions about things so that I'm not projecting unhealed or unattended to situations on other people. And I think that's what we do a lot. Now, I don't think that we do a checklist when we meet a person. So I sat down and I came up with my own self-healing process. And I'm not an expert. It was just something that I said, this is what I'm going to come up with. And it's just a basic process that to me, it organizes your personal being. It tells you what love is. It tells you how to love yourself. It tells you how to be intentional about things. It tells you how to find your contentment in life. It tells you how to be responsible for your own happiness. And it tells you how to protect your peace. And once you put all of those together, to me, you become a different person. And it makes you able to see another person going through the process that you were going through before my process. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not saying that my process is the one-all go-to process. But what I am saying is that the process did help me. So I do know that whatever you do, as long as you're doing something, that's, I think that people will respect that because you're doing something. You may not be able to afford a counselor or whatever, but you're making an effort towards moving forward. And I, for one, respect that. When we get into relationships, I think that if we did use this process, then I think that there will be a lot better relationships. Because I don't really, me personally, I don't feel that everybody has problems. I just don't. I feel that if you follow the process, you don't have problems because you have two people who love themselves, two people that are in love with themselves, people that understand that, two people that are content in life, two people that understand that they're responsible for their own happiness, and then you have two people that are protecting their peace. Those alone, create two very emotionally powerful people that understand themselves and respect the other person's emotional landscape so that they can exist in each other's environment and not clash with each other because they understand. They understand that one is doing what makes them happy, so they're doing what makes them happy and it doesn't clash. They understand how to love themselves and be in love with themselves and put themselves first. So therefore, they're not interfering with the other person doing the same thing, or they can kind of help that person get to a point where they're in that same situation. They can understand being content in life, because if you're not content in life, then you'll almost always irritate or ruin the other person's contentment because you're constantly dragging them down because you're not in the place where you need to be. They understand peace, so therefore they don't let you or anybody else bring anything that affects their peace into their environment. And I think that's important in most relationships, well, in all relationships, because it just makes a better environment. And once you get there, you respect it so much, because the only thing that most of us know is a relationship where you have problems, you're arguing, you're sitting down having these talks and yada yada yada. And to me, I just think that if you understood it more, none of that would exist. Call me, I'm very optimistic, and I'm always thinking like, this can't be true. Everybody doesn't have problems. The people who are unhealed and don't understand themselves have problems because they don't realize the situations that they're in, and they don't understand that in my opinion, it starts with you. It has nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with you, because nobody can make you do anything. Nobody is making you stay. Nobody is keeping you from leaving. Nobody is forcing you to do anything. That's in your own head. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Narrative Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, G. Thank you for listening. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a comment, and leave something that you would like me to talk about, or tell me what you thought about what I'm talking about. Thank you for listening.